It looks like we have a lot of people in here, and so we will start our meeting. I am Bridget Lake, President of the Oviedo Winter Springs Regional Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Today, we are here to talk about business resources during COVID-19. The Oviedo Winter Springs Regional Chamber of Commerce is here to serve as a platform for enhancing business and community interests in our region. And most importantly, we are here as a resource for your business. We are here to provide education, connections, and advocacy. Our chamber has been in constant communication with our local, state, and federal officials, and I can tell you that our businesses are going through a lot, and we are glad to be a resource here for you. I remember just on March 12th, it was pretty incredible when I got home from work and I turned on my TV and I looked at the news, and I had this thought of, are we really gonna shut down the world? And I still think we're all kind of having those moments and those thoughts of, is this really happening? And it is, and it's pretty shocking, and it's something that all of us are going through together, and we will get through it together. And I just want to thank all of you for joining us here today, because we want to be here for you and be a resource here for you. Now, just 2 days ago, we had our local government COVID update, and it was recorded and is accessible on our website, oviedowintersprings.org. It is underneath our COVID-19 tab. This business resources meeting is also being recorded, along with any of the comments that you will be putting in the chat box, and it will be posted on our website later today. Our COVID-19 website tab has many great resources, so please check that out. I also suggest checking out our Facebook page for updates and resources. I strongly recommend signing up for the Florida Chamber's newsletter. They send out daily emails with links with the most up-to-date information, and also liking the Seminole County Facebook page to see Alan Harris, the emergency manager's live chats on our area. Now, before I begin, I would like to say thank you to all the doctors, nurses, and medical professionals out there helping others and saving lives. I want to say thank you to our amazing panel today, and our co-host is Melissa Cilio with the Oviedo Winter Springs Regional Chamber. She is helping with behind the scenes, kind of moving the slides around. And this will be a conversation between our panelists. If you have any questions, we ask that you put them in the chat box, and you are able to raise your hands at the end of our discussion. We will get to your questions one at a time. Please feel free. This really is the ability for you to ask the questions that you've been wanting to ask, that you have just been really having an issue, maybe not knowing something for your business. This is that opportunity. So make sure that whatever questions you have, you put that in the chat, type that in the chat box, you raise your hand. And right now, let me introduce our amazing panel. We have Amy Kirkland, who is the director for the Center of Business Development at Seminole State College, and she oversees the SBDC program. Hi, Amy, how are you doing today?
Hey, great, thank you for having me. I'm happy always to share any information I can to help our business community.
Thank you. And we have Ray Villegas with Career Source. How are you doing today, Ray?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And if you don't know, Ray has been in the chamber world for a long time and just recently moved to Career Source. So thank you so much for joining us. And we have Deputy County Manager Tricia Johnson. How are you doing today, Tricia?
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to join you all.
Thank you. And today we'll be speaking on bridge and disaster loans, amongst other topics, covering employment support, reemployment assistance, and speaking on current and planned efforts to support existing Seminole County businesses. And I'm sure there are so many other questions out there. So just make sure we have those in the chat box so we could get to them after our discussions. And we will start with Amy Kirkland. And this will be an open discussion. So Ray, chime in, Tricia, chime in anytime if we have questions along the way.
Again, thanks for having me. I just want to start off by letting everybody know that Seminole State College, one arm of our college is our Center for Business Development, which is in existence solely to help the business community in Seminole County. The SBDC is our biggest program, and that's where we offer one-on-one consulting at no charge to clients. We do training seminars. We help with business loans, and that's what we're going to focus on today. But we've been here for over 24 years. Just for anybody on this call that just doesn't know about us, please reach out to us. I'm going to give our Facebook page to start as our Center for Business Development at Seminole State College. So very simple. But today I really want to talk about some of the loan programs that we assist. We're not the SBA, but we are funded partially by them as well as Seminole County. So it's your tax dollars hard at work, and we're very hard at work helping as many people as we can, as quickly as we can. Of course, the response has been overwhelming for all of these programs. So I'll just give you my opinion about it, what you can do and do it quickly. There are going to be limited funds. So we'll start off with the government one, because I think this one is the best one that most companies would have the best chance of getting. And they've streamlined it just so. This is the latest news as of last night. We got this from our partners at UCF. We're a sub-center of the UCF SBDC. So there is you can go right to sba.gov/disaster, and they've streamlined it to where you can apply, I've been told, in 15 to 20 minutes. I don't know, it may take some folks a little bit longer, but you can apply. You don't have to upload all the documents that initially you did, all of your taxes, personal taxes, employee information, that sort of thing. So you can go on there. If you click onto the box that says that you would like the advance of $10,000, then you have an opportunity to get that money ahead of time, and then it would be obviously decreased from the amount when you finally get the loan. But you can apply for this advance, and according to the latest news we have, if for some reason you are declined for that loan, you don't qualify, your credit score, whatever the reasons may be, you still may get that $10,000 advance as a grant. So it would be forgiven. So that's the understanding that we have right now. Again, this is very fluid. We're doing the best we can to share the information, but my best advice is to go to the website and get your application in, because there are thousands and thousands of companies and business owners around the country who are getting this money. I think it was $350 billion in the CARES Act. And the disaster loan, you know, there's only so much money to go around. So I would say act quickly, do the best you can to get the information in accurately and honestly. And then hopefully, you know, we'll start seeing some results from that.
And a quick question for you, Amy. You were saying, because one of my questions, and I've gotten this from businesses, is what's the quickest way if they need money to, let's say if they needed to pay employees like ASAP. You were talking about this advance. That's the disaster loan that you're speaking of.
Right. And the good thing about this disaster loan, another thing to add, is this particular loan is it has 30-year term, or up to 30-year term, with a fixed rate of 3.75% interest. So if you've applied for the other one that I'm going to talk about, the Florida disaster loan, you can then pay off the disaster loan with the funds that you get from the EIDL loan. So we were recommending at first everybody apply for both. However, in the next one, Melissa, if you can put up the next slide, the Florida disaster loan, emergency bridge loan, that's from the state of Florida, and we're working with DEO as well as with Florida First Capital, who is handling that to do the funding. Let's see. Yeah, this is just a slide to where you want to go. You want to go to, that one is Florida.
While you're figuring that out really quickly, I do have another quick question when it came to the disaster loan. You were saying it's possibly forgiven. How do you?
Right, that's just the $10,000 advance. And this is, again, it's fresh coming out yesterday. The $10,000 advance may be forgiven if you apply for it and you don't qualify. That's what we've been told. So if you need that $10,000 early, you want to, most people do want to apply for that ahead of time before the loan actually, it does take some time to process these loans. So
how do you get to that forgiven portion? How do you know if that's going to happen?
that's going to be coming from SBA directly.
Okay. So we just don't know how you qualify for that portion yet.
Right. Right now, we're just being directed to steer any business owner that's looking for the disaster loan to go online and apply. And the things that changed is the streamline and then this announcement that came out about the $10,000 loan. I keep trying to, $10,000 advance. And again, we're constantly being updated with this information. The first loan that came out, Governor DeSantis announced the emergency bridge loan program, which we've done these many times, but typically they're for things like hurricanes. And it affects a portion of our state, normally not the entire state. So we were set up to do this. And again, the processes have changed, but I think everything's on board now where it's actually working, where you can get your loan into the system. The SBDC, we don't make the decisions. We're helping clients to make sure they're gathering all the proper documents in them in, and then we're actually helping to upload all the information into the database. But there's a committee, a local committee of bankers who make the decisions whether or not it's loan worthy or not, the application is. So I know people think we're the SBA, they think we're the ones making the decision. And I know that business owners are really scared and, they're pretty freaked out and rightfully so. And they come at us, we don't have all the answers, but we're doing the best we can. But just know that we're here to help, but we are not the decision makers and we're not the ones, who have the funding either. We're just here to help process those clients towards there. But the emergency bridge loan, and again, in my own opinion, there's limited funding available and there are thousands of businesses in Florida who are applying for this. So my recommendation would be to get online, and it is, I can't believe I couldn't remember this, I've said it 5,000 times, the floridadisaster.biz. And then this is just a flow chart of the different, or you can go to floridadisasterloan.org too. There's a couple different, where you can get in there and upload your application. This one though, you have to have at least 2 employees. So if you're self-employed, you won't qualify if it's just you. You have to employ folks. So if you have 1099 miscellaneous or you file 941s, quarterly taxes, then you would know that and you would know that you would qualify. But those are, and when you go online, it'll give you the eligibility.
And just a quick, I noticed there's in the chat that Phil had mentioned, Melissa, if you can unmute Amy, looks like she has a comment regarding the disaster loan.
We have a few Amy's with us. Which Amy? Roble or Pennick?
I'm gonna guess Pennick. Let's try Pennick. And while we're moving on to that, continue on. Amy Kirkland, did you have anything?
Yeah, I just think a lot of the bankers and the CPAs and the attorneys are going to know, some of the more nitty gritty details of this. Our office is really, we tend to be more generalist, but we've been in constant training for this. But again, to get the information, get it accurate. I'm sure there may be some folks online who have actually applied for this already or assisted businesses, their clients, a CPA. I've spoken to a couple of CPAs who are helping their clients to do it as well. So if someone has some great information, that's wonderful.
Okay, so it's not Amy Pennick, it's Amy Roble then? And we'll continue on. So Amy Kirkland, did we have anything else on the emergency bridge loan program?
No, I think if you just go to those two sba.gov/disaster, and then also the floridadisasterloan.org or floridadisaster.biz, either one of those will get you to the application.
And I have a message also from Mitch Eubanks, who said it is up to a $10,000 advance and the 3 days comes after you are assigned to a loan officer. You may not get that much or none. Originally, we were told you just had to apply to the SBA disaster loan and you would get $10,000. I believe that it was about to say, it is not so to that extent. This came from the SBA when I spoke to them after being on hold for an hour and a half. She did also say things change every day, which is true. Things change every hour. And I just want to keep on emphasizing that to everyone. Things do change every hour, and we're trying to keep everyone up to date as of right now. And Amy, thank you. I know you're trying to keep everyone informed the best that you can, and you are putting out the most up-to-date information as of last night. What else?
Yeah, my only thing is apply quickly and get it in. Even if you don't think, that's what the SBA has also told us, even if you don't think your credit score is perfect or good enough or whatever, get your loan in, because as they move forward, a lot of times they lessen those requirements. Maybe it was 680 and up originally. They may lower them. You know, there's no telling. So at least get your loan in and hope and pray that you do qualify, but act quickly. That's my best recommendation.
Okay, and then, so Phil meant to you, Amy Kirkland, in the comments. He said, can Amy please comment on how the EIDL will interact with the payroll protection plan from the CARES Act that is rolling out this Friday? The CARES Act has language which makes it seem that you may not be able to do both if the funds are for the same purpose.
That's a great question. And that was one of my questions. Originally, we were told it was one or the other. Then I got something else that said that you can apply for both, and then they would lessen the amount of your EIDL based on what you got for payroll, but you couldn't use the EIDL for payroll. But I don't have an accurate current answer to that question. I don't know that those details are out yet.
All right. And with Mitch Eubanks commented, it was 640 the other day for credit score. So everyone, I'm sure everyone can see the comments since they are for everyone, but I will continue to keep those updated and read them off. And now we are going to move on to Ray Villegas with CareerSource. Ray, if you could give us an update involving what's going on with employment support, reemployment assistance, and other topics that you have going on. And note that Ray is newer to CareerSource, and just with everyone here, if we're not able to answer your questions, we will find the answers for you and post them on our Facebook page.
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Bridget. Yeah, so for those who, I guess as a little bit of background, you know, CareerSource Central Florida is a nonprofit. We ourselves, CareerSource Central Florida, covers the 5 counties around Central Florida: Lake Orange, Osceola, Seminole, and Sumter. But there are 24 workforce boards throughout the state of Florida. We're funded through the Department of Labor, so it's federal funding that allows us to help not only career seekers, job seekers, but also the business community in terms of making that connection between the job seekers and the businesses looking for, for workforce to help their business succeed. We had to go through a transition, as many businesses out there, to virtual services. Typically, we have 6 career centers throughout the Central Florida area, and it was quite the ordeal to move them all virtually, but we are up and running. We've made it through that transition, and we're up and running fully, and making do with the new circumstances that we're all enduring here. So, one of the things to keep in mind, we are tied to the DEO. For the business community, obviously, have had to make some tough decisions in terms of laying off folks and helping, those that they had to lay off. And we were talking about this before we went on air here, but some of the statistics to keep in mind, especially for the folks that are trying to apply for unemployment since they were laid off. I think the most current statistics were from mid-March, so this is even a week or a week and a half old. The jobless claims in mid-March hit about 75,000. At the peak of the recession in 2009, it didn't get any higher than 25,000. And in a normal course of business since 2015, the normal jobless claims would be between 6,000 and 8,000. So you can imagine the amount of just volume that's pouring into the DEO, Department of Economic Opportunity, their office in terms of applying for unemployment benefits. So please, folks, stay patient with that. I've heard that the governor has looking to probably get ramped up another 250 people in terms of the call center. So there was just a lot of, and Amy had mentioned this a lot too, in terms of the fluidness of this situation, both both from a statewide and worldwide basis, but also down to each individual government, both state, federal, and local government. There's just so many different moving parts here. So, but no, we are here to serve. Again, right now it is a very busy time for not only the people who are looking to get reemployed, but also for the businesses who are, having to make those difficult decisions. And especially for, as you can imagine, the different types of sectors that right now are ramping up, believe it or not. When you think of, your Publix, your Walmarts, your CVSs, all these places are looking, for so much more help that are needed so that they can bring the services that they do on a scale that just all of a sudden ramped up within 2 weeks. So in terms of the business community and the things out there, there are just so many different moving parts, and some of it, again, is ramping up. We're all obviously usually talking about how business is negatively affected. There are places that you're seeing the transition to needing to ramp up. So hopefully there's some opportunity there for folks who have been laid off to be able to transition to those other businesses.
Mm-hmm. Is there a good website source that if people do have questions, Ray, where should they go?
In terms of, Career Source Central Florida is a good, at least in terms of, it's careersourcecentralflorida.com. That's a good starting place in terms of funneling you to the correct place, depending on what you're looking to do. Again, we flow up through the Department of Economic Opportunity, and that's obviously the government entity that's working with a lot of that, and that actually is floridajobs.org. So again, floridajobs.org, that's another good place to start looking for what you need.
And in the comments from Mitch, if everyone can see this, and we do have to realize that these websites, everyone is going to these websites. As Ray just said, unemployment is, it's at 75,000
new jobless claims
in
mid-March.
Websites are being overwhelmed, phone lines are being overwhelmed. So when we do get a comment, Mitch says, it is a nightmare to file reemployment online. I've spent 2 different days and have spent, and I'm not exaggerating, over 5 hours and still could not get to the end. It is a test of patience for sure. Employees of mine that filed last week are pending at this time. So Mitch, yes, we do understand, and we do thank you for your patience. And it is, as Ray was saying, they are trying to get how many, 250 more people to help.
The call center, yeah.
Call center, exactly. So with the amount of people filing for unemployment, it's just tremendous. And I'm going to go back up to a couple of comments here. David Smith, Representative David Smith, said the state bridge loan is up to $50,000, interest-free for 1 year. They are adding call center reps to handle the increased volume. Correct. Thank you for that comment. We have Scott saying the state loan also has fairly high interest rate after 1 year from the state site.
Bridget, if I could let you know that one, the bridge loan is just that, a bridge. So typically during a hurricane, this would be money that you get quickly. And then you typically would get your insurance claim filed and you would get that money to where you could pay it off. It's for a year. So it's not meant to be a loan with, a term loan. That's why at the end of the 12 months, it does have a high interest rate of 12%. That's why we were recommending people apply for both the emergency bridge loan through the state and then the economic injury disaster loan through federal to complement each other. But David, thank you for adding, I went off on how to get to it. And not talking about what it was. So you can get up to 50,000, 0%, which is great. But again, apply quickly. Do it now if you haven't already, because at some point they're going to run out of funding. It can't go, infinitely open for everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you for those comments. See if we have any additional ones. Let us move on to Deputy County Manager Tricia Johnson. Let's talk about the current and planned efforts to support existing Seminole County businesses. And I know you have a lot more to talk about, the resources that you have and any updates.
So thank you, Bridget. What I wanted to talk a little bit about is what emergency management is doing from a countywide perspective. As many folks see them as the head on the horse as we kind of navigate through this. And our social distancing order that the county put into place last Friday, because it primarily impacts businesses. And I have notes a little to the left of my screen, so if I look it over here, that's what I'm looking at. Our emergency management group is really the head in a disaster, whether it be a hurricane, a pandemic, or another situation. Our director, Alan Harris, who many of you have seen, and Bridget, you mentioned him earlier, is the decision maker. He advises the commissioners, he advises the county manager, but ultimately we look to him as a subject matter expert on the decisions we make. So emergency management works closely with, of course, all of our cities, our state legislative partners, our chambers, Seminole State College and CareerSource, DEO, between our ED group and then also emergency management. We have a lot of different partners that we're working with. And I want to mention to everyone, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the county does a press conference at 2 p.m. Today's press conference is focusing on health and human services issues. I believe Harvest Time International will be one of the folks speaking, as well as the Sharing Center. Friday, we'll be focusing on business, and Amy will actually be one of the folks that are participating in that press conference. And we're trying, Alan Harris is always a part of them, as is our chairman, Jay Zembauer, and often the sheriff, to talk about what the county is doing, any updates there, but also focus on specific topics to get more information out. You can see these on both Uverse and Spectrum, as well as our Facebook page. We do them live there, and as well as Seminole County Government website, the SGTV page. And I can send you all those details, Bridget, if you want to add that to your website or your social.
Absolutely.
Alan also does Facebook Live. So I encourage everyone, as Bridget said, to follow the county's Facebook page. It's a wealth of information in terms of timely updates. And I love watching his Facebook Live. No one represents emergency management, in my opinion, in the state better than Alan Harris. We're so blessed to have him here in Seminole County. He's a straight shooter. He says it like it is. He's easy to understand. He breaks down a lot of technical terms for us. And so we're lucky to have him, and I encourage you all to watch this Facebook Lives when you have the opportunity. As I mentioned, the county passed a social distancing order on Friday. And essentially, let me just say that I'm sure most of you know that other counties have passed a stay-at-home order. And we have gotten a lot of questions about that stay-at-home order. Why haven't we implemented a stay-at-home order? So let me say first that emergency management and the county at large monitor developments minute by minute, because as we've said, it's constantly changing. So if a stay-at-home order becomes necessary, the county will put one into place. But what we have found with other stay-at-home orders is there are a lot of exceptions. So it turns out, even though we're saying stay at home, a plethora of businesses can still remain open. And it looks good, but is it really effective? So what the county put into place Friday is a social distancing order, and it's requiring all businesses in the county to follow the CDC guidelines for social distancing. So all businesses are required to keep employees 6 feet apart. That's not a big deal for a small business, but when you're thinking of Home Depot or Publix, that's a challenge. So we're requiring them all to tape off their checkout lines so that individuals are 6 feet apart, because before the order went into place, that really wasn't happening. Same with Home Depot, and then all, or any large box stores, I should say. And we also know that a lot of folks were going into the grocery stores at once. So now all businesses are required to only have 30% occupancy of their total occupancy. If your occupancy is 100 folks, you get to have 30 people in your business at any given time. So the larger stores have to line people up outside potentially and let them in shifts to prevent having that 1,000 people jammed into a grocery store at one time. So we're working very closely with our big box stores to ensure that they comply with this order. The order is being forced by local police departments in our cities, our sheriff's office, excuse me, and our county code enforcement. And there's a $500 fine daily until the order is complied with. And we are very seriously enforcing it. It's very important as people understand this isn't just something we put out there to say, hey, we're doing something. It's actually something that we're very focused on enforcing, because we believe that businesses should stay open if they can. And a lot of our small businesses can comply with this order and continue to serve their customers while also protecting their employees and the public. It is those larger businesses that we need to work with closely to ensure they comply with the order. There are some, unfortunately, that do have to close. You can't get your nails done because you can't distance 6 feet, or your hair done. Hair salons can remain open to sell products, but not to actually do hair, which, let me just say, I was very sad to hear that, because I don't know what I'm going to look like in another month or two. So it's a challenge for swim lessons. I got a call about that yesterday. Can my child still take swim lessons? Well, if you have an instructor who can teach from 6 feet away, but that's a challenge, especially if it's a younger child. We're also asking that all businesses, large and small, keep their meetings to 10 people or less, of course, and then also everyone in those meetings need to be distanced by 6 feet. I'm sure many of you heard the news story, I think it came out of Washington State, but don't quote me, of the choir that was practicing, and I believe there were 67 of them in the room practicing, and 45 of them were diagnosed with COVID-19 as a result of that choir practice, because they were all in the same room. This virus is in the air, and that's why it's imperative that social distancing be taken seriously. As I said, we're monitoring on a daily basis. We see people posting on their social feeds at a playground with a bunch of other parents and their kids. Don't take your kids to playgrounds right now. All of the county's parks are closed, but not a lot of neighborhoods have private playgrounds. In all honesty, they should close them. And we are working with our HOAs to message that out, because we don't want your children crawling all over playground equipment that may or may not have been sanitized in a period of time. And then certainly it's difficult to social distance your kids. Now, there are some businesses that are exempt from this order. For example, non-residential, non-medical, and non-lodging uses do not have to comply with the 30. Sorry, I knew my dog would bark. I said that before we started. My dog will be quiet on Primes at the front door. Sorry about that. I would jump up and get her and try to be quiet, but hopefully she'll chill out in a second. As I was saying, occupancy is limited to 30% for all businesses, except for those non-residential, or those that are not residential or medical or lodging. So hotels, hospitals don't have to comply. The other businesses that are exempt from this order are healthcare, medical, first response, shelter rehab, childcare, utility providers, food preparation, construction, government, and transit agencies. Let me just say that all of this information, anything else I talk about, is on prepareseminole.org. That is our website for related to COVID-19. It's actually our website we use for all emergency management items. So if you want to read the executive order, if you want to find any of the business resources that I'm talking about, or learn more about what's open and what's closed, everything is on prepareseminole.org. So I highly encourage you to go there. One other thing I want to mention is what our community services group is doing for rental assistance. That's something that has come up quite a bit. A lot of folks are in need of support for paying their rent. So the information is on prepareseminole.org, but you can also go directly to Seminole County fl.gov. That's our website, and /apply for the number 4 help. And there you can apply for financial hardship support. If your schools are closed and you're seeking rental assistance, you can submit an application. You can also call 407-665-2300. That's 665-2300 for more information. Now, please understand, similar to what Department of Economic Opportunities is experiencing with unemployment applications, we are being inundated. We get about 100 calls a day for rental assistance. We've received about 250 applications already. This funding for this comes from County General Fund, although we are working with the state to see if there are some opportunities for grants, and we believe there are. But as you said, again, this is constantly evolving. So I would take a look at Prepare Seminole for additional information. I see the chat, if this could be personal housing rent. So to answer your question, this is for personal housing rent assistance, business assistance, you would work through what Amy was talking about earlier. Finally, there are a laundry list of different resources out there for us. The Orlando Economic Partnership has a great website that you can visit for resources. Of course, Career Source, the U.S. Small Business Administration has a plethora of information. If you are focused on the federal information related to FMLA, the county is sending information out about that as we learn more about it to all of our businesses. And I would be happy to add you to our business distribution list about that because we have, again, we want to make sure our businesses are receiving the most up to date with respect to what the federal government is doing. There's also a business damage assessment survey that the governor put in order earlier in March. The survey is imperative. We are asking all of our businesses to complete it. Right now, through the survey, we have tracked nearly $50 million in losses and more than 1,300 layoffs, some temporary, some permanent, through the surveys. Those are just Seminole County businesses, but less than 200 businesses have completed the survey. So I strongly encourage you to complete it. It is again at prepareseminole.org. It's on the emails we're blasting out. We put it out on social media. We want to make sure that our businesses are completing that survey because the county will receive funds and support to put back out into the community based on the responses to that survey. So right now, as I said, we have about 50 million in damages, but not even, I think it's a little less than 200 businesses have completed it. So we're strongly encouraging businesses to complete that, whether you're large or small. And I'll stop rambling for a second. Questions may have come up.
Tricia, what's your dog's name?
Indiana.
Indiana, thank you for being a guest speaker on our show today.
Yes.
Oh.
I went to Indiana University, so that's the name. And also, if any of you are Indiana Jones fans, we named the dog Indiana, so it's kind of a little double. But I get to, county employees are considered essential, so most of us are in the office, but we're trying to do some distancing so that the other folks in the county manager's office and I aren't constantly in contact with one another if one of us were to get sick. So this is my week to work from home. And Indiana, I think, is excited for me to go back to work so she can, anyway, so that's her name.
Well, thank you. That's some great information. And thank you for answering the comments as they were coming in. I actually want to go back up to Marna's question. It said, so you can apply for the advanced 10,000 grant and still apply for other loan contemplated on the stimulus package?
That is my understanding. And what I would say to anyone is apply for as much as you can. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. If they see that there's an overlap, then you'll understand that. And Amy can probably answer this better than I can, but my recommendation is I would apply for everything you can because things are evolving so quickly that the criteria could change in another few weeks. We know that our criteria at a county level has changed for how we're accepting applications for rental assistance over the last 2 weeks. So I guarantee state and federal criteria will change.
And I'm sure that's true also, just being on the call with the Florida Chamber yesterday, them saying that you most likely you'll be able to apply for more than just one. Amy, do you have any feedback on that?
Again, just like Tricia said, I would say apply quickly and efficiently and apply for everything, because the worst case is you don't get it, but hopefully you get what you need. And that's another thing is don't apply for more when you're getting a loan. Don't take out a loan for more than you need, because again, you're taking away from others, and you need to, pay back these loans eventually. You want to keep your business sound and just get through this. And get enough that you're going to need. Of course, we don't know exactly when that's all going to happen, but we have people that were they qualified for a huge amount, and the SBDC counselors were just trying to tell them, keep it in check and get what you think you're going to need based on your business planning.
I'm not sure if we have an answer for this second part of this question. Any information on terms on both of them and how they will combine? Amy, do you have any information on that quite yet?
I didn't see that one.
It's this at Marna's question. It's the paragraph in here. It's actually the second part of it, and she has the question after it saying, also, I read about credit score. Will that be a requirement for them?
Yeah, and again, it's very fluid. It's changing constantly. We started, I think the recommended credit score was 680. Someone had mentioned it's down to 640. I think during one of our disaster loan, through one of the hurricanes, I think it got down even lower than that. So that's why we're just recommending you get your applications in. Don't worry as much about your credit score. And as far as combining, I'm not 100% sure I can speak about that because I think that's still being determined. And I'm not qualified to say what exactly they're doing. If you get this loan and then you get the PPP, or you get the EIDL, you get the PPP, then the EIDL, which, but I believe they're going to be deducting what you get. You cannot use it for the same. And then there are also programs, if you currently have a disaster loan, I would recommend you reach out to the SBA because there are programs, if you had gone through the hurricane and you had a disaster loan, they're doing some different deferments, different programs with current SBA loans as well. I'm not, again, able to speak on specifics, but just know that there are some other possibilities that you may have with these, and to reach out to the SBA to clarify with your current SBA loans what you can and cannot do.
Comment is another good resource is orlandojobs.com.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Whoever brought that up, they actually CareerSource did partner just last week, started a partnership with orlandojobs.com, and they're actually in the middle of a virtual job fair. So you just go to orlandojobs.com. There's a virtual job fair going on through April 3rd. So very interesting.
A comment from Representative David Smith, a tip from the DEO today about applying for reemployment benefits, call at 7 a.m. That's an hour before they open, but gets you in line to take the call. And we have, where else do we have? For Tricia, can you please repeat the survey location for businesses? And that was the
Business Damage Assessment Survey. So this is administered by the Department of Economic Opportunity, and it's a survey they do anytime there's an incident, an emergency. So we send it out often during our post-hurricanes. But this, and not that it isn't valuable after hurricanes, but this is imperative in my opinion. I've really been pushing this. So you will go to the website Florida Disaster.biz, B as in boy, I, Z as in zebra, Florida Disaster.biz. And
why don't you, if you could, pin it to the top of your Facebook page for a while, and we'll pin it to the top of our Facebook page. It's at Seminole County. Is your Facebook page correct?
Seminole County FL.gov is our Facebook page. And then on the Florida Disaster.biz, you'll see a link or a big box that says Business Damage Assessment Survey. And you just click on it there. It's fairly simple to complete. And what we have seen as results from that survey, the numbers I already told you, but most folks, the resource they're using is the bridge loan that Amy talked about earlier. That's what they're seeking. But there are other resources out there that just seems to be either the most popular or the one folks know most about. So, and yes, Bridget, I appreciate that. We'll link that for you.
Perfect. And we'll do the same on our Facebook page, Oviedo Winter Springs Regional Chamber of Commerce. And from Laura says, we had the SBA disaster loan, the Florida bridge loan, the payroll loan, and the CARES Act. I have applied early to learn that, and I need to reapply. It's not clear which program is better or which one to apply for. Amy, would you like to take that?
You know, I would recommend for the paycheck protection, it's going to go through SBA, I believe SBA approved lenders. I've been told maybe they may add additional bankers, but go to your personal banker, whoever you work with currently, because they're going to be the ones who handle all of the paycheck protection as far as I've been told up to this point. So I would recommend, if you think you qualify for that one, reach out to your banker. If you have a good working relationship, they'll know you know, how your business is doing it and maybe can steer you in the right direction. It depends on each individual business, to be perfectly honest, what they need. I think the state bridge loan, if you can get in and get everything done, that particular one is going to get you again through this first year. But the long term, and who knows how long this is going to go on or what type of injury you're going to have to your business, I would recommend definitely getting into the economic disaster loan from the SBA, the EIDL loan, because that one again is 30-year term at 3.75 interest rate. It's just a good overall one, and you can use that one to pay off the other ones.
Is there anything on the insurance side for loss of income?
And most of our clients, when you have a loss of business as part of your insurance policy, and I don't claim to be an insurance expert, but a pandemic is not covered on these plans. You know, if there was something, a hurricane, a tornado, and you've lost your business, and you know either you know your physical location is damaged and or your business is you're not able to provide your services. There typically is, if you have business loss on your policy. This particular situation doesn't apply. I don't know if it applies to anyone, but I know everyone's told us that there is no claim on your insurance for this.
And from Phil Capra, we have the way the SBA procedure is written as of this morning, you may be able to refinance your EIDL or presumably a portion of it into the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program. The PPP information all changed yesterday. It went from a 10-year 4% loan to a 2-year 5.5% loan based on several trade resources in the past 18 hours or so. I will know more before he's actually doing a presentation for us on Friday, which I will tell you about. It is the CARES Act that we are talking about on Friday at 11 o'clock. We will have another Zoom meeting, so make sure that if you have more questions about that, that will be the most recent and updated information we will have on the CARES Act on Friday at 11. And we have, Dana Carr says there are several resources at floridadisaster.biz. Thank you, Dana. Candy Newler says, what is this website, Seminole? She was talking too fast. Thank you, I'm with Seacoast, and they have placed a link on their homepage.
I saw that, and this is where you can go to get prepareseminole.org and scroll about halfway down, Prepare Seminole. I'll hold it up in case I do talk fast. And you'll see a header that says businesses. And under that, you'll see a number of resources, including a link to the survey.
And we do have our business resources, COVID-19, which you guys are one of our business resources. Thank you so much to Seminole County for everything that you guys have been doing and keeping up with. You guys have been doing a phenomenal job. And we have business interruption insurance is for named storms, hurricanes, etc. per State Farm agent. I don't think that was a question.
I think she was referring to the loss of business with, like this is a pandemic. It's not business interruption for named storm like a hurricane.
Okay.
She was commenting on that.
And from Greg, with regarding the CARES Act or payroll protection, the loan size is limited to an amount equal to 2.5 months of the average salary from 2019. Applications start on Friday. I agree with Phil's comment on rate. And Candy said correct. That's what my State Farm agent informed us. I love this. These are great comments. Now we are opening up to questions. Do we have any from our panelists today? You guys have provided some amazing information. I can't thank you guys enough. Are there any final comments that you want to give to our audience members before we continue taking questions?
You know, Bridget, I was in the chamber industry for about 12 years, so I'm going to put that hat back on. But, you know, thank you for bringing this together. You really are doing a service to, you know, your constituency and for everyone in Seminole County and Central Florida by doing this. And just seeing some of the free-flowing information being shared between your members and people through the chat. That's just really, really nice to see. I mean, that's what chambers are all about. That's really what the chambers stand for. And in this time, in this economy that we're in right now, you know, I think relevance of chambers and people working together is just going to be magnified to the umpteenth degree. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And chambers across Florida and across the country are working really hard to support their businesses. We understand how difficult it is for our business community. So we want to help you and be there for you as much as we can. That's why our chamber will continue to be putting on these meetings, virtual meetings. Make sure that you register for them. Make sure to join us. We will continue to be a resource for you and continue to make great programming. And if you have topics that you're interested in having us talk about, make sure that you contact us or put it in the chat box there, and we'll continue to have these discussions and highlight topics. If you're interested in sponsoring one of our Zoom chats, would love to have that too. Make sure that you contact us about that. So let's go back to our chat box, and we have from Phil, the advice from the SBA makes it sound like it may actually be only 25% other than payroll, not 50% as originally thought. And Dana says, is this being recorded? Yes, this is being recorded. So this will be on our website before the end of the day. So you can rewatch this, you can share it. We'll be sharing it. We'll be putting it on our Facebook, our website, all of that. So yes, great information. Our one that was put out on Monday with our local government update for COVID is also on our chamber website, oviedo-wintersprings.org. Gary, still confused on help for independent contractors. Any help for them?
Yes, the EIDL loan is available, and that's the one that is sba.gov/disaster. And it's, again, the streamlined application, and that is available for independent contractors.
From Songbirds, most of the information I was able to find and have heard as far as payroll is for employees. Is there any help I can give for my 200+ contractors? So not employees, but actually contractors. Anyone chiming in on that one?
I'm not, the EIDL loan wouldn't fit for that, I don't believe.
So I don't know if we have that. That you've stumped us. It looks like we may have to look into that and post that on our Facebook once we find an answer for that one. As we said, everything is up-to-date information and we're trying to help our chamber members. So Melissa, if you could make sure that we keep that question, and we will post that on our Facebook as soon as we find an answer for that for you Songbirds. Thank you so much for asking that. Phil Capro says, Gary, there will be, comma, but those applications appear to be open for submission at a later date as of the advice this morning. And again, Phil Capro will be on our Friday, the CARES Act breakdown, Friday at 11. Marna. Ooh. I think I lost my chat for a second. Hold on a second. Where is my chat? Chat, here we go. Marna, I really like this virtual meeting. I actually would be able to attend more of them if they were done in this modality. Okay, perfect. Well, remember that. We'll stick to virtual as much as we can. Of course, I'm sure we all miss giving each other handshakes and hugs. So, Dana, thanks, and everyone is doing a great job. Yes, thank you to all of our panelists. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out. I know that we all have our very busy schedules. Candy, I'm with Blue Jasmine Boutique. FYI, Oviedo Mall is still opening, abiding by the Seminole County social distancing order. So Oviedo Mall is a trustee of the Oviedo Winter Springs Regional Chamber of Commerce. Make sure you shop local and you are supporting local, especially right now when our businesses need the support.
And Bridget, I just want to, if you don't mind my saying, I know the Altamont Mall closed, and I appreciate that comment about the Oviedo Mall still being open, because that's exactly why we've put a social distancing order in place, to allow businesses to do their best to serve their customers while keeping themselves and their consumers safe. And certainly a mall, Altamont closed because the majority of their stores within the mall had closed already. But we certainly applaud those that are staying open and applying to the order so that you can do your best to operate as business as usual.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tricia. Janice says this has been extremely helpful. Well done. Jackie said, if you don't have employees, the EIDL, the disaster loan, helps with the rent and utilities. So that is a comment. Is that is correct?
Yeah, and any working capital, anything you need to keep your business going, you would qualify. It doesn't, the EIDL is for, paying your bills, to keep your business open. So it's not strictly for payroll.
Phil says, Bridget Lake, there are several industry-specific grants, i.e. restaurants, hospitality, etc., that I'm starting to see information be pushed on. Is any one of the presenters compiling a list of these for their resource pages?
So
We
it's funny.
started. Oh, go ahead, Tricia.
Dana Carr and I just talked about this morning, and we're doing our best to put together a document that lists everything we're aware of so that folks can just do a one-stop shop. The challenge, of course, with that is there are always things that are coming out new, so understand it may not be the most recent, but hopefully, at least on a weekly basis, we can get something updated and on our page so that folks can see. As we were talking earlier, I know Google's doing something privately. There are a lot of organizations that are trying to do specific grants, so we're researching that to put something together. And
Yes,
Amy,
thank you.
I saw the National Restaurant Association was also doing some type of assistance to those in the industry too. And there have been quite a few associations kind of stepping up to help their particular industries.
Thank you. And I noticed Melissa also put up on the screen the difference between IDLs and PPP that we just received. We have a Facebook page for all the chambers of commerce, and this was shared just yesterday, so last night, and it's great. We actually shared it on our Facebook page, so if you are interested in taking a closer look at it, by all means, go to our Facebook page, Oviedo Winter Springs Regional Chamber of Commerce, and check that out. Yesha says, thank you. This has been very helpful. Phil says the PPP is supposed to be available for contractors as well, but their application data will be later than the ones for the entities of small businesses. That's good information. Mitch, songbirds, if the contractors are 1099, you can include them in your payroll to my understanding. And Songbird said, thanks, Mitch. I'm looking at the COVID-19 economic injury disaster loan application. It says an applicant can be an independent contractor. Does that mean they can individually apply for the $10,000 in advance? Or the $10,000 advance? Amy?
I believe so. If you're applying for it as an independent contractor, that's your business. I believe so. I don't see why not.
Phil to Tricia and Amy, if we come across the information, whom should we forward the information to? I tend to put that information on the OWS RCC discussion board, but I'm happy to send to others.
so I would ask that everyone, any information you get about private or public grant application programs, send it to Dana Carr. I know many of you know her, dcarr, D as in dog, CARR at Seminole County FL.gov. She's kind of working on compiling stuff with her team.
And just so everyone does know, if you are on this call today, the Oviedo Winter Springs Regional Chamber of Commerce discussion board, it was in our strategic plan to start mid-year this year. We ended up starting it early so our chamber members can have access and have discussions like this throughout the day if they have questions regarding business or anything. So if you are a chamber member of ours and you look for the OWS RCC discussion board, click to join our group, and you get this and lots of other information, and you can talk amongst our chamber members along with the experts that we have in our chamber, and can ask questions, can chat with each other, and it's a great way for our chamber members to stay connected during this time and to support each other. And we're going to Judy. She says, do you have document available as a PDF? I'm assuming though it's the one that we have on the screen right now, and I will have Melissa send that to you. That is Judy with Oviedo Mall, so thank you so much. And Mitch says, yes. I don't know where that came from. He's probably answering somebody else's. And Phil says, note, the graphic of comparison between EIDL and PPP is outdated information for the PPP. See term and interest rate, for example. So it's already outdated. Phil, if you could give us more information on that, or I'm sorry. Yeah, that was from Phil. And then Dana says, sorry, I missed Amy earlier. I thought I heard that if you use the loan to pay your employees' bills, it becomes a grant that you don't have to pay back. Is that true?
I'm not sure what she was talking about. With the PPP, there is some forgiveness involved, but again, that's not what our department's working on because the information is still so fluid. But there's some forgiveness with that particular loan. And then when she's talking about the EIDL, the 10,000 advance, that can be used for employees or any of the business expenses that they have and working capital. So I'm not sure if that answered the question or not.
And we have heard forgiveness in these when we've heard loans, and then we've heard possible forgiveness. We just don't know the terms of forgiveness, which has not been put out to us, which is why we can't really explain who or what will be forgiven. So we're just trying to keep you as updated as we are, and that is the information that we've been given.
Yeah, I see Phil commented it's forgiveness eligibility, so it's not a guarantee.
There we go. There is forgiveness eligibility for the PPP. It will also be dependent on several other factors they will discuss on Friday, 11 a.m. at our CARES Act breakdown, where Phil Capro of Kilgore Perlman, he is an attorney with Kilgore Perlman, and Steve Fulmer with Citizens Bank of Florida will be on our virtual meeting to do the CARES Act breakdown. So if you want more information, make sure you join us Friday at 11. And Dana Carr said, no worries, thank you. So we are wrapping up here. Do we have any final comment from our panelists? I can't tell you enough thank you. And after this, I do want to go through some of the seminars that we do have coming up. Ray, any final comments?
No, again, thank you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you to your board and your members, again, for all that you're doing for the Oviedo Winter Springs area and all of Central Florida. Again, you're really putting it out there in terms of just people sharing information, just like what was going on today. So keep up the great work.
Thank you. Amy?
Again, same as Ray, just thank you for doing this for the community, and thank you for inviting me to be part of it. And just to everyone listening, just if you haven't already applied, I can't urge you enough to get those applications in, do it quickly, and we'll all get through this together like everyone says. If you are a business that's not suffering too badly at this point, see how you can help other businesses in the community as well. I know I've seen a lot of that going on, and it's really nice. We do hear from clients who are really hurting and clients who are doing okay and trying to bring others on board. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. And Tricia?
I just want to thank you for doing this. This is really cool. I was a little skeptical when I heard of it. I was like, how's this going to go? And this is really terrific. So thank you, Bridget and the Chamber, for organizing this. And it sounds like you're doing more of them. So it's a pleasure to have been part of this today. Please keep your distance and get through this in a sooner time frame than what they're saying on the news. And it's a beautiful day outside. Go get some fresh air. Stop watching CNN, because
So let me tell you about some of our upcoming events at the Oviedo Winter Springs Regional Chamber, and these are all virtual. So we have a virtual happy hour tomorrow at 5 p.m. Yes, meet, mingle, chat. Let's have fun. Bring your drinks. It doesn't have to be alcoholic, but I'm sure most of them will be. Friday at 11, as we mentioned, we have the CARES Act breakdown. We have Steve Fulmer from Citizens Bank of Florida and Phil Capro, the attorney at Kilgore Perlman. And at Tuesday next week at 9:15, we have Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy, who will be with us to talk to our members. And we have Thursday at 12 p.m., the legislative session wrap-up presented by Gray Robinson and sponsored by Orlando Health South Seminole Hospital. I'm sure we will be adding other meetings in the next week or so, so please stay on our Facebook page. Make sure to email me, text me. I know that I try to make myself as accessible as possible, so thank you so much. Stay safe, stay healthy, hashtag social distancing. Take care. Bye-bye.